Yes.
All right. I will open this meeting of June 11 for the Board of Trustees. It is 6 o'clock. We're open, and we'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in the moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes. Mayor Cindy Simpson.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhorter. Trustee Andreas Esparza.
Present.
Trustee Corey Jabor.
Here.
Trustee David Payton.
Here.
Trustee Daniel Hennick.
Here.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Here.
All right, thank you. All right, the first item of business is letter D, approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Trustee Payton and a second by Trustee Manning. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the agenda passes, and now we will have a presentation by Rika Fulton from the Dolores River Boating Advocates. You're up. And go ahead and state your name and address just for the record.
Okay. Hey everyone, my name is Rika Fulton and address is 606.5 Hillside Avenue in Dolores, 81323. Well, thanks so much for having me here today. I've talked with a few of you about the idea of the town of Mancos passing a resolution in support of public lands. We saw town of Dolores pass one at the end of April. So I just wanted to chat a little bit about the symbology of that and why it's important. So thanks for your time today. So I work for an organization locally called Dolores River Boating Advocates. Our kind of three tenets are stewardship, education, and advocacy. We do youth education programs. We did a river camp this year for the 4th year in a row for middle schoolers. We do field trips, stewardship events with the BLM and Forest Service primarily related to access and recreation on the Dolores River. And then we also do advocacy work in the Dolores River watershed around public lands, and then the river itself. Our kind of biggest project over the years has been working with local stakeholders to create a proposal for a national conservation area for the lower Dolores and Montezuma, Dolores, and San Miguel counties. That's a really grassroots proposal with a lot of support locally. And we just saw Senators Bennett and Hickenlooper reintroduce that in the Senate for the 3rd time, which is exciting. And then we've also kind of expanded our work in recent years looking at public lands more generally, since that, of course, impacts our communities and the Dolores River watershed and surrounding public lands. So that's kind of why I'm here today. So in the past few months, we've seen some kind of concerning actions that relate to public lands. So I wanted to share a few of those today. And I'll just summarize a few of the major ones, and then I'll talk a little bit about some economic benefits of public lands to Montezuma County, and I do have some fact sheets I'll maybe leave here if anyone's interested on that, and then just be available for any questions about why I'm here today. So a few of the big things happening in relation to public lands recently are first the firing of federal employees, which I know got a lot of traction. We saw some public rallies and media hits on that topic, but we saw some probationary workers let go, and then also some incentivations that would lead to early retirement. And especially the Trace Rios field office here locally already was really understaffed, so we saw that really impact the field office. Incentivizing staff to leave or firing them is really bad for our community, community morale, or just leaving understaffed offices provides, leaves our public lands vulnerable to overcrowding, fires, vandalism, all the things. Science, there's been a lot of issues there. Emergency response and wildfire are particularly concerning, and that will require more resources from other local entities if that gets out of control. Our community has really shown up for this, so I think we've shown that it's not a political issue at all, but everyone really is supportive. And there's also the issue of not just staffing, but having their budgets lessened also is an issue. We did a stewardship project with the BLM a couple weeks ago, and they didn't even have the budget to buy simple hand tools. So there's concerns like that I don't think benefits anyone. The second big issue that we're seeing is the possibility of selling public lands. And the threat that I'm concerned about is the threat of more wholesale sale of public lands. I think there's plenty of situations where land swaps or selling parcels makes total sense. But the issue is kind of what's happening now is just these big sweeping land sales that don't include a public process. And that's what's concerning. We saw an amendment in the budget, in the House version of the budget reconciliation bill, that would sell 500,000 acres in Nevada and Utah. And there was a big bipartisan advocacy push to get that removed, which was great. And I think today the Senate is kind of looking at their own version of that. And it's kind of hard to know how that will resurrect in the Senate version of the bill. I think I heard a rumor today that it could be as much as 2 million acres included in that bill. At first, I kind of thought it might not be as bad, but it sounds like it's maybe ramping up and taking a different form. So again, I think that's really scary, and there might be instances where selling public lands makes sense, but this is not the way to do it. And the House bill kind of didn't have any guidelines on what those lands would be used for. So presumably kind of anyone could purchase those. I don't think that, and the general public sentiment is not that we should sell public lands for profit to pay off the bills. And I'll talk later about why keeping public lands intact is actually a better sustainable mechanism for our economies, both federally and locally. Lastly, I just wanted to mention there's some legislation impacting the National Environmental Policy Act, which is kind of a process to look at the impacts of any action on federal lands, as well as the dismantling of locally led management plans. So these things kind of just take a step back for our communities and all of the effort that we've put into how to best manage for multiple use our public lands in Western Colorado especially. So kind of concerning about that. So the positive thing is, in response, we first saw the state of Colorado pass a bipartisan resolution in support of public lands. And since then, there's been an effort to work with counties and municipalities across the state to kind of mirror that action. So far, we've seen El Plata County, Pueblo County, San Miguel County, JP County, and then Town of Dolores and Town of Lyons. And those are what I have on my list. There might be other municipalities as well, but pass these similar resolutions. And why there's no public lands within the town limits of Mancos, I think it's really the culture of the town of Montezuma County and the town of Mancos. And it really contributes a lot to our economy and just way of life. So the resolution is symbolic. It doesn't the town of Mancos doesn't have to do anything in particular. It doesn't have a budget, anything like that. It's just simply stating that, hey, we're here, we love public lands. The benefits of public land are super clear. I don't think I need to go into that too much, but I think just an afternoon walk at Chicken Creek or camping up at Transfer is part of what makes living here so awesome. And I wanted to highlight a few economic benefits of public land. The outdoor recreation and heritage site visitors spend over $78 million in Montezuma County annually. That's from a recent economic study that was done 2 years ago. In 2023, outdoor recreationists in Colorado spent over $52 billion on trips and equipment, contributing to a total economic output of $65.8 billion and supporting 132,000 jobs. In 2023, lands managed by the BLM generated 201 billion in total economic output, which supported 783,000 jobs and contributed 8 billion to the federal treasury, all with a budget of just 1.7 billion. So it's really a remarkable return on investment, just having public lands available to us. So when you talk about selling public land, it's like, yeah, maybe that's a bump of money, but it's just kind of silly from an economic perspective. And then finally, counties with public lands see faster employment and income growth, among other economic benefits. So what's at stake is just public access could be, would suffer or even vanish in some instances, especially if you're seeing there's not the resources to keep these places open, they're just going to close. And no one wants that. Natural ecosystems could be lost forever. I'd be really worried about sacred sites and all the cultural resources that we see on our public lands, especially in this area. And tribal input and consultation would really be compromised. And then, of course, local economies would suffer. So in conclusion, once public lands are gone, they're gone, and they're not a luxury, they're a legacy. So it's something we need to preserve. So happy to answer questions. And again, I have some more economic info I can do for y'all.
Okay. Any questions? No? Okay. Thank you very much. And get the facts and stuff to the staff, and then they can send it to us.
Okay, perfect. I'll
So
just
we
one
can
copy then.
read up on it.
Again, it's my understanding there's been something written up, and happy to support that as well.
Okay. Thanks. All right. While that's happening, I will introduce the audience business portion of the agenda. And I have a few statements to read. Senate Bill 24-131 prohibits firearms in public buildings with the exception of law enforcement. All people wishing to address the board shall do so from the podium provided in the boardroom, and all comments will be directed to the board. Public comments regarding items not on the agenda shall be limited to 5 minutes per person unless part of the formal presentation. Public comments regarding public hearing items on the agenda will be limited to 3 minutes per person at the time the item comes up on the agenda. Excuse me. Special presentation of items not on the agenda shall be limited to 5 minutes. Board will appoint a timekeeper. Who's handy with a timer? Because I know I'm not. And then all people from the podium shall clearly and audibly state their name, physical address, and the town business topic they wish to speak about prior to speaking. Be sure to pause a little bit to give the town clerk time to record that information properly. It's for our records and transparency. No person shall be allowed to speak until recognized by the mayor. And requests to the board to accept written information shall be accepted at that time, though no action will be taken at the meeting. Written information accepted at the meeting shall be provided in the board packet for the next meeting if necessary. First person on the list is Catherine St. Ange. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Catherine St. Ange, and address is 12815 Road 42, Mancus. So I'm kind of on the same theme as her, but anyway, I've got a little narrative here. I'm a member of the recently organized Four Corners Dark Sky Partners, and I'm here to support Dark Sky. So I was awoken this morning at 4 a.m. to a bright light in my face. Happily, it was the full moon. How different it would have been, and how differently I would have felt if this had been some kind of bright artificial light. How lucky I was for the moon to be the culprit to my wake-up call. But one cannot overlook the fact that Mancus is growing with new people coming in, and that can be a good thing. And that being the case, it's imperative that the quality of Mancus, which includes our incredible night sky, be maintained for the health of the town and its residents, and for just the uniqueness of Mancus itself. With Mesa Verde being right next door and being dark sky certified, it only makes sense that we follow suit and also become dark sky certified. Apparently, travelers are now 60% more likely to seek out dark sky destinations when making their travel plans. We have the benefit of being at an elevation of 7,000 feet and over. In becoming certified, we have the chance to cultivate, preserve, and flaunt our incredible dark skies and become a destination point for all travelers. So let's get ourselves on the map. Another reason for dark sky certification is the climate crisis is truly knocking at our door. And by becoming dark sky certified, that in itself can help with the crisis in our own backyard. A healthy climate depends on intact and healthy flora and fauna, all of which depend upon active cycles of dark and light to thrive and survive. It's important that we maintain and enable these light-dark cycles for the health of the climate and ourselves. And we may not realize it, but our health depends on these cycles as well. Recently, a resident and businessman of Grand Ave was telling me how at night his neighbor has a huge floodlight on in his backyard, which he cannot escape from in his own house. He says it's driving him crazy and he doesn't know what to do about it. As Mancos grows, these situations must be avoided. Dark sky ordinances can help with that. And in these handouts, you can see that brighter is not safer. Dim down the lights to see. And these handouts just have some little descriptions of how dimmer is safer and better. So I feel that Mancos is naturally so close to being dark sky certified. Why not finish up with perhaps some minor details and get us on the dark sky destination international map? And we don't really need any more signs on 160 coming into Mancos, but wouldn't it be great if there could be just one more that says Mancos, your dark sky destination? And remember, your key to a bright mind during the day is a dark sky at night. So that's it. So I hope you will consider helping to get Mancos Dark Sky certified with your plans. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, next person is Mark Worth.
Respected trustees and honorable members of the town of Mancos. I am Mark Worth, resident of 10750 Road 43, Mancos, Colorado. I am here before you this afternoon seeking a fair easement compensating my wife and me for the use of our land for water diversion, settling ponds, and a pipeline feeding raw water to the town of Mancos. I am requesting the town of Mancos schedule a work session with us. I have several pages of presentation prepared. We go into the past to visit 2016 grant applications. It's informative, but I have an idea. I'm failing to understand the issue that is preventing you from honoring the 1960 easement or treating my wife and me like the other pipeline easement holders who received the use of 1 3/4 inch raw water tap in exchange for a pipeline easement. I was a small town mayor 37 years ago, so I do understand that there are cost implications involved in the part of my request to share the maintenance of 1/2 mile of road you use. The fire hydrant to be installed in my proposal is a clear benefit. The fire hydrant to be installed at my expense is a clear benefit to the town, enhancing fire protection at the base of the town's watershed. Climate change might be relevant. But the 3/4 inch raw water tap that had been granted in 1960 has no cost to the town. Please note your water usage is recorded at the water plant. I am hoping that you might help me direct future comments so I can minimize this very inefficient approach to reaching an agreement. There is no legal liability in asking a question. I am inviting you to ask questions or suggest concerns that might allow you to recognize our rights. Honorable Mayor, I intend to yield my time to the trustees for questions that might speed us to an understanding and shorten your meetings throughout this summer. Honorable Mayor, I yield time to trustee Nick Manley for questions.
Actually, I yield the time.
Oh, I
And
apologize.
we don't make questions or comments during public comment. So you may take your full 5 minutes if you'd like.
I find this frustrating. I truly do not understand why you won't treat us like the other people whose pipeline crosses their property. I don't understand why you think it's okay to use my land, trespass on my property on a daily basis, without any compensation whatsoever. I asked the attorney to forward me any standing offer the town has to compensate me for this use of our property, and he has declined to do so. I mean, I think you guys understand there's only one tap on your pipe. And if you don't believe me, please talk to your water department because it's true. The other 2 taps on your property are on pieces of property that were not owned by Shepherd. It is a matter of legal record. It's no mystery whatsoever. The picture you have seen of the unused water flowing until 2019 is called out in the 1960 easement. One of your applications for a grant to improve the settling ponds several years ago when that water was cut off says there are very limited records on the town water system, including the raw water intake. Based upon what was found, the raw water intake system was last worked on in 1960. I believe you have an engineer on your board. It doesn't take an engineer to understand that without that overflow, it is not possible for the measuring system to work. My father was an engineer. If you took a pressure control item offline thinking it was a leak, refineries would have exploded. It's a simple pressure control device to allow the water to overflow downstream of the measuring device. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. Right, that was all that was on the sign-in sheet. Does anybody else have anything that's not on the agenda that they would like to address? Seeing none, we will move along. Montezuma County Commission update is the next thing. I don't see him here, so we will move on to the next item, announcements.
I have a couple. Excuse me. We had no response to the mandatory walkthrough for the rehab of the old jail today. We didn't have anybody show up. So that project is officially closed as far as receiving bids for that. I am still working on that behind the scenes to see if we can move forward in anything, but the public bid process was closed today.
Okay.
And we've updated our website for information. Colorado Municipal League Conference is June 24th to June 27th this year, and Mayor Simpson will be attending. Society for Human Resource Management Conference is June 29th to July 2nd this year. I will be attending. The public open house for the new marshal's office will be held on June 21st at 9 a.m. From 9 to 11. So if the public wishes to stop into the marshal's office, they are welcome. Borough Fest is also occurring on June 21st. And Makerspace is scheduled for July 25th to the 27th, and the booth for the trustees has been secured. The sign-up sheet has been sent out. I received a response from one trustee, and I believe I put one in the red folder in case you want to sign up tonight.
Pass.
That's all I have.
Should I just-
That's it.
Bless you.
So it looks like we still need noon to 3 on Saturday. and maybe 6 to 8 on Saturday, just FYI. I'll send this out again tomorrow, but all of you guys have chosen, so thank you. So there are 2 slots we still need to fill, so I'll get that out to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we have.
Okay. Any announcements from the board? Nothing? Okay. All right. Moving along, we will now, I would entertain a motion for the consent agenda. The items on the consent agenda for this evening are approval of the minutes of May 28, 2025, approval of the minutes of June 5, 2025, the May bills and claims, the Region 9 update, and the Mancos Valley Chamber update. And I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now we're moving on to our discussion and action items. The first thing is Resolution 9, Series 2025, in support of public lands.
Staff was asked to add this item to the agenda, so the draft resolution is in there. This will be just giving you her presentation, so I don't know if anybody has any questions for staff.
Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, change in wording? All right. I would then entertain a motion to approve Resolution 9, Series 2025, a resolution of the town of Mancos in support of public lands as written.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 9, Series 2025, a resolution of the town of Mancos in support of public lands. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. This one is a roll call vote. Will the clerk please call the vote?
It's Trustee Andres Esparza.
Aye.
Trustee Corey DeWolf.
Aye.
Trustee Drew Reed.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Henning.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
All right, thank you. Next item is Borough Fest, June 21, 2025, open container permits.
So I do have an amendment to this one after Justin's.
Okay.
It was the amendment.
I'm sorry,
It's the amendment.
is that what you're going to talk about? Okay, good.
So I have no problem with the open container permit, but with special event permits, the organization is supposed to pay for security. We have not received the security deposit. So my ask to the board is that we approve it with the condition that it's paid prior to the event. And then if it's not paid, they can't have their beer garden at Borough Fest. And I will handle that on the day of the event. So that's the only thing I would ask the board on this resolution, or this
Okay.
permit.
Did they have any, like,
Actually, I've communicated with them a little bit. I just think they're busy, but I just want to be fair because that's with every event going forward as they get more and more popular. We need to make sure that we're adequately staffing those. And this is an overtime opportunity for the marshal staff that we haven't had previously. So as these events continue to happen, I want to be able to give an overtime opportunity to my staff through these special event permits.
and so does it work like they can either pay for town
They pay the
security
town
or,
no, it has to be through us.
okay,
Now they can provide their own security after us, but it has to be local law enforcement that provides the security.
good. That's what I
Yes.
was going to ask.
No, it has to be our staff.
It's not just people that are large.
Yes, they, they pay the town and then we pay the full time. So that way it's handled, because Trustee Gerber, if we don't do it in advance, my concern is that they're not gonna pay. And then we're stuck trying to collect after the event. So I'd rather them pay to play.
Yeah, okay. Any questions? All right,
Thank you, board.
yeah, thank you. Heather, did you have anything or was that? Okay. All right. Therefore, I look for a motion to approve the open container permit submitted by the Mancos Creative District for Borough Fest, June 21, 2025, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Conditional upon receipt.
Yes, thank you. Conditioned upon receipt of their security payment.
Make a motion to approve the open container permit submitted by the Mancos Creative District for Borough Fest, June 1st, 2025, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. with the condition that the security fees are paid.
Second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Andres Esparza.
Aye.
Trustee Corey Dwar.
Aye.
Trustee David Payne.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Hannah.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
All right, motion passes. I collect that money. All right, Kilgore American Indian Art Gallery permit renewal.
Yes, the art gallery permit will renew on June 12th, 2025. Kelly Chilcott has submitted the renewal application to the town. And there has been no previous violations for the past 12 months. The Mancos Marshal's office has no objections to this.
All right, any questions? All right, I would entertain a motion to approve Kilgore American Indian Art Gallery permit renewal and authorize the deputy clerk to submit the renewal application to the Department of Revenue.
I move to approve the Kilgore American Indian Art Gallery permit renewal and authorize deputy clerk to submit the renewal application to the Department of Revenue.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Trustee Andres Esparza.
Aye.
Trustee Corey Dwar.
Aye.
Trustee David Payne.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Hannah.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
All right, motion passes. Next item is Mancos Days 2025 special event permit and update.
So we met with the representatives of 2025 Mancos Days last week. We received all of the information that we needed. They have paid their security deposit. They gave us all the information that we needed, so the road closure requests have been submitted to CDOT. They've given us a list of events. They will work on a list for vendors. They're still accepting vendors. And they submitted their special event permit application. So we have everything that we need on this event. What we're asking tonight is that the board approve the special event permit application, because they're going to do the same thing that Borough Fest is doing, and they're going to do it. So, but they have paid their security fee already, so we're good.
Okay, and they are getting closure permits from CDOT for the
That's already
highway?
been submitted.
Okay, all right.
Friday is the kids' parade, Saturday is the main parade, Saturday afternoon is the car show, and Sunday, I submitted a closure even though the event hasn't been finalized, but Sunday is potentially the junior firemen, firefighters training.
Oh, doing
Main
that,
Street.
yeah.
So they're still working on that, but we did submit the closure request to CDOT so that if they finalize it, it goes through. If they choose not to have the event, CDOT has no objection if we don't close the street. So we wanted to make sure that we got the permission.
Yeah, good
So
call.
they did come in last week and provided everything that staff needed for the event.
Okay, sounds like they're getting the hang of it.
They are.
Awesome. Any questions at this point? Okay. Anything else out there? Sorry, I
No, so
cut
we
you off.
do need the motion though to approve
Yeah.
the special.
Yeah. Okay, I therefore will entertain a motion to approve the 2025 Mancos Colorado Days special event permit.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 Mancos Colorado Days special event permit. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Trustee Andres Esparza.
Aye.
Trustee Corey Dwar.
Aye.
Trustee David Payne.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Hannah.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
All right. Next item is reappoint Shannon Hazlett to the tree board.
Yes, the tree board at their last meeting recommended that she has decided to renew her membership on the tree board. And in your staff, in the staff report, I included the section of our code related to the tree board and the minutes from the tree board meeting where they're asking to reappoint Shannon to the tree board. She's currently the chair of that.
Okay. Any questions?
she wants it, she's got it.
Right? Okay, so I would entertain a motion to reappoint Shannon Hazlip to the tree board.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Shannon Hazlip to the tree board.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Consensus vote, right? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item is agency contribution guidelines update.
So this item was discussed at a public meeting that I believe at the retreat. I have redlined the changes to the current guidelines for you all based on my understanding of your meeting. So please review those. If you are satisfied with those, we just need a motion to accept them. If I misunderstood or you want additional changes, let me know. Take care.
Okay, so we all have the red line copy of the information. Any questions, comments, changes? Staff got it right? Woohoo! Anything? Okay, all right. Then I would entertain a motion to approve the updated agency contribution guidelines as presented in the board packet.
I'll make a motion to approve the updated agency contribution guidelines as presented in the board packet.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item is cancellation of June 25, 2025 board meeting.
This is solely up to you. I'm making the suggestion, our mayor will be at CMO, I will be prepping for Society for Human Resource Management. There have been times in the past when CML conference calls with our second meeting that we do cancel because we have trustees going. Solely up to you guys if you want to do that.
I'll be gone as well.
Oh,
I'll be gone as well.
oh, okay.
Seems
I don't
easy.
even know we'll have a forum.
Yeah.
I would recommend that.
Seems easy now.
Seeing that they're falling fast. Yeah, and Corey, we never know. Yeah.
All my time.
All right. I would then entertain a motion to cancel the June 25, 2025 Board of Trustees meeting.
Make a motion to cancel the June 25, 2025 board meeting.
Second.
So many tools and names. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Next item is actually, we don't need the resolution, but Carol wanted to speak. Okay. Carol has resigned from P&Z, and she wanted to have a few moments to speak to us. So Carol, come on up.
My resignation, of course, will be subject to your approval. Is that correct?
At the next meeting? Okay.
My name is Carol Stout. I live at 51 South Willow Street. I moved to Mancos in 2017 from the Navajo Indian Reservation, where I was a midwife there for 13 years. So coming here was somewhat of a culture shock. And so the first thing I did was, as a new citizen, felt it was my obligation to figure out where I am and how things are run and what's the appropriate way to approach the town hall or whatever. So for almost 4 years, I attended as an audience member every single board meeting to understand the process. And I have to say, you really won my respect for it. Now, only one of you, I believe, our mayor, can validate all of this.
Yeah, you were there.
I learned a lot, and I felt that was my civic duty, and I felt that the board was able to perform better, to hear themselves better if there was an engaged audience. So I was the only one, but I was loyal, and I was there, and I showed up. So then I thought, well, it's time for me to make a more concrete contribution. So I applied to work on the Planning and Zoning Commission and was appointed and worked hard. Attended all the meetings, came prepared, understood the process that was to be come to study, to be informed, to come to present my opinions or my thoughts, to collaborate with my peers, and then to come to consensus. And that's really important, that because we are to speak with one voice, just as you are. And I understand that that's your process. I know that because I've sat out there. For years, I sat out there. Now, I stopped coming because I started taking music lessons that occur on Wednesdays, and I was only able to give up one Wednesday a month. That's not here nor there, but that's why I stopped coming. But I knew that I respected you. So what generated this email that I do think was inappropriate, and I have actually apologized. And but it is true that I felt not valued because other members of the community don't feel valued by the Board of Trustees, and I don't think that's fair. So when I'm confronted or asked, or I'm in a social situation where people start complaining about the board or town hall, I have always stuck up for you guys. I have always explained the process. That no, sir, they can't answer you. That's not the process. They have to do it in this way, in this manner. And it works, and I explain the wisdom, and I do it over and over and over again in the community. I have respect for you, and in the resolution that you were presented, it says that I have been disrespectful. And I am going to ask to be presented with the evidence, because I don't remember being disrespectful. I actually consulted two of my friends, I said, who know me very, very well. They are the kind of people who would tell me I have spinach in my teeth. I asked, have you ever heard me say anything inappropriate about our Board of Trustees? And they said, no. And I go, well, why would someone write into a resolution that has two parts essentially to it? One, that, yeah, Carol was a bad girl in her email about disrespect and, you know, all of that. And yeah, you're right, it was terrible. But to say that I have disrespect, that I have acted in any manner in this community or in front of you, in private, anywhere, no. So my friends, both independently of each other, said the same thing to me. They said, Carol, this is not about you. This is about Heather. That's what they said. I respect Heather. She's great. She's incredible. But why would you do that? Why would you say something when you have an ironclad, straight, simple, honest, you know, if she wanted to get rid of me, that would have been fine. That would have been enough. Why would you add a lie? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Heather, can you tell me, why would you do that? Why do you need to do that? That's not necessary.
You address your comments.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know that. I know that we lose it sometimes. And that's what I did. I lost it in my email. And I had lots of stuff. I wanted to mention specific little things that have happened to me, to other people in the community where people don't feel respect from actually the administration. But I don't need to do that. I do want to point out one thing that the other, besides attending meetings, I go to the CML meetings so I could be a better, make a better contribution. And I would turn in my receipts, and the year before last, was lost, a receipt. And so I turned it in again and got reimbursement. And then last year, I turned in my receipt, and it was lost. And then I turned it in again, and it was lost. And then when I approached Heather about it, she says, well, you'll just, then it was reported on my tax income, that it was as tax income, so that reimbursement was was reported as income, which it wasn't, it's reimbursement. And she goes, well, you'll just have to take that up with your tax preparer. Once again, throwing it on me. And these are the folks that are dealing with our town's money, the records you guys are making decisions on. You're signing out under, you're signing on the bottom line. So when I use the word disrespect, I can give the examples, but I don't think that's necessary. But the incompetence, maybe we need to look at that. Most problems are systems. Most problems are systems and not people. We have a horrible system. We changed it from, hey, Carol, the meeting's going to be late or the meeting's canceled, to email. So before the board had a chance to come to your consensus about my fate and my relationship with the town, the email was sent to me that this meeting started at 7. So I get on the tablet and email to Mayor Simpson because we have communicated, but it said my email had been disabled. So before your resolution, my email action was taken. You know what I'm trying to say. It was a little premature is all I can say. My email, when I was told that was the means of communication, the new means of communication, and then before you guys made your decision, my email was disabled. I got a phone call at 4:22 telling me that the meeting started at 6 instead of 7. Give me 2 seconds. I just want to make sure I've said anything. I think I probably said enough, other than I'm not embarrassed. I'm not. This resolution doesn't embarrass me, and I actually. And my resignation is not really completely done until you folks decide whether you want me. I just have always been a friend of the board, and the reason just one more thing. Ed Hallam and I were out there at 7 o'clock for the meeting that we missed. I think I've made it clear that it's really important. Showing up is really important. I know I'm losing your attention. I know that showing up is important. You know that that's important to me. I think I've made that clear. So when Ed Hallam and I were standing out there at 7 o'clock for the meeting and the times had changed, we were both kind of, he was 2 days after surgery, and I was, just frustrated because my tablet hadn't been working. The reason, and when I, said something to Heather about it, she said, well, did you bring it to be fixed? Well, the reason I didn't was because I've had 2 really bad falls on the concrete slabs around my house. I was physically unable to get up and bring it in. And I did not feel the confidence in the staff that I would be treated kindly if I called and asked somebody to come get it for me. I thought, well, maybe I could call Jason And I thought, no, as I know, he's a sweet guy. Everybody's sweet. I mean, they're not bad people. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that it's these little things that add up. That I'm trying to tell you, your public feels very much as I do. People don't know the process. And when you change it, just where's the heart of this town anymore where you couldn't have just called me when something's so out of character of me not showing up? Why couldn't somebody just call and say, hey, Carol, are you okay? You're 75 years old. You live here alone. We haven't seen you. We haven't heard from you. What's going on? Are you okay? No, nobody cared. Nobody thought that I had, maybe there was a reason that I did one thing so out of character. And so, yeah, that really caused me to react inappropriately, I think. Well, maybe not, because I can actually back up the disrespect, the incompetence of the way what things I have observed and felt, and complaints from others. But I've always tried to dispel conflict. I know I'm spicy. I know, I did call the chairperson of the commission just to let her know. No one thought to tell her that this was happening. And what she said to me was, well, you always bring something to the table that no one else thought of. And I think that matters. Again, I realize I've taken a lot of your time. I probably yacked longer than I intended to. I'm actually going to withdraw, if that's possible, my resignation, because I think you guys need to decide whether or not you want to remove me by this resolution, or you want to ask me to stay until the end of my term, or you want me to leave as of this moment. I'm leaving it to you because you are the ones. The other, except one other thing I thought of, the other issue, and this is again another systems thing, not a personal thing. The other issue out there that people feel is that decisions are made before, when in the process of interacting with the community. People feel that you've already come to a conclusion, you've already made your decisions. And I think if you look at the resolution that was presented, it looks pretty much like the decision was already made for you. So maybe that's a system that needs to be tweaked a little bit. It's going to require a little more work because Heather works her butt off. I know it. She earns her big Memphis salary. I know that. But, there's some work to be done to better serve your public. And I'm so grateful, actually, that this all happened. I'm able to talk to you about it because I think it matters. I think you matter, and I think our town matters. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol.
Thanks.
Mayor?
Yeah.
I think it's up to the board whether or not it is or wants to accept resignation. We've already taken a resolution off the table for tonight, and the resignation was submitted. I think you can accept it tonight and be done with it if that's your choice. Whatever, this town certainly has strong feelings and about the town and experience with staff and whatnot, and she's doing a good amount of service to the town. Everybody appreciates that, but with the resignation being submitted, I think the town could act on that tonight if they want to, either through consent or a vote.
Okay. I'd like to comment on a few things, if I may. One, the accusation was that Heather lied. It's just a badly written resolution. So the sentence that is causing a lot of the issue here is the cause being the disrespect shown toward town staff and town board of trustee members. And so if a motion is made to postpone or, well, I guess if we do the resolution, it would need to be postponed, right? Because it's been pulled from the,
I'm gonna defer to David.
Actually,
I'm
it's
taking a
still
step
on.
out from this project since.
Yeah.
I responded and forwarded it to you, right? So.
yeah. Because it's still showing on my agenda, so we
I
could
guess you
still-
could act on it tonight, on the resolution, but if there's a resignation, I don't think
Okay. Yeah.
What's the need for this?
Yeah, and I want to give the board a
You
choice
know,
on,
then, it's just a little, it's a little nicer. And, it might have been, maybe I drafted this resolution, and so maybe I, inarticulately worded it. But I'll just, I don't think it really matters if the board.
Yeah.
The resolution be withdrawn, won't be considered in this resolution.
yeah. So I wanted to point out that if you choose to move forward with the resolution, that should be reworded to reflect, that Carol had come to a couple of trustees and was saying things that were disrespectful about the staff. So the disrespect wasn't shown to us. It was, presented. And so if we go with the resolution, I think that does need to be clarified because, we want it to be truthful. There has been a lot of confusion because you did resign in an email to Heather, you resigned in an email to me. So we can accept the resignation tonight rather than doing the resolution. And then to the point of the resolution already being approved, we don't do that. We are really transparent and we don't make prior decisions. Resolutions are always, all of them that I've seen that I can recall are written as if they're going to be adopted because it shaves at least 2 weeks off the process. And so that way we can approve it as is or with minor amendments, and then we can act on it. And if we just came and said, should we write a resolution, then we would, vote on that. And then we would send staff off, and then 2 to 4 weeks later, we would have it on an agenda again. And so it just bogs down the process. And so that's why our resolutions are all written as if we're going to adopt. Having said those things, I will open it up to comment and or a motion. So let me just go down the line. Nick, any comments, questions, concerns?
No comments. I'm in favor of accepting the resignation at this point.
Okay. Daniel?
I appreciate your work, Carol. I don't appreciate the way you approach this. I'll accept her resignation.
No comments, support resignation.
No comments, support resignation.
I think the town staff does an amazing job. I support everything they do, and I accept the resignation.
Corey?
Same. I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay, all right. Then I would entertain a motion to accept the resignation of Carol Stout from the Planning and Zoning Commission. And a second. And if you want, you can just say so moved, because I already stated it.
Yeah, so moved.
If you like.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by trustee Manning and a second by trustee Hennick. Roll call vote? Okay, so will the clerk please call the vote?
Trustee Andres Esparza?
Aye.
Trustee Corey Jor?
Aye.
Trustee David Payne?
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Hennick?
Aye.
Trustee Newman.
Thank you, Carol, for the service that you have done for the town.
You will.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you, Carol. All right, next item is K, items for July 9, 2025 meeting. Begins at 6 p.m. We've got the workshop to be determined. That'll begin at 5:30. Consent agenda will have at the very least June 11, 2025 minutes, committee update reports, and El Rio Cantina, July 26 and 27 open container permit application, make this day, as I assume, and then an update to trustee protocols.
2 questions about the next meeting. One, do we want to start the 2026 budget process by discussing possible capital projects for 2026?
Sure.
Sure, yeah, it's a fine way to start.
Might as well. We only have 6 months to.
Yeah, let's start there.
Budget.
That's a good idea.
And then the 2024 financial audit, Chris Winters from Majors and Haley will be here to present the 2024 financial audit for that meeting as well.
Sweet. Sweet. All right, anything else we want to see on the meeting agenda? No? All right. Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Yeah, we are adjourned. Thank you. We end the meeting at 7:02. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.